Yo, what's happening, people? It's your boy Griggs. Welcome back to Griggs Talks, where we talk all things sports. And welcome back for a match reaction. I haven't done one of these in a minute, I'm not gonna lie. But we're back, final home game of the season and all that kind of stuff. So I'm like, let's pull it up. Manchester United versus Newcastle. United 3, Newcastle 2. Forget the title. I forgot to change that because Newcastle wanted to score a late goal. We'll change that later though. But yeah, man. United won a game. Surprisingly, I didn't think we were going to win a game for the rest of the year, but we did it in great fashion. I thought it was a good performance. And as you can tell from the title, the two people that scored were the two people that I'm most gassed about when it comes to Manchester United: Kobe Mainoo and Alejandro Garnacho. So happy for them. Not Alejandro. Kobe Mainoo and Amad Diallo. I'm excited about Garnacho, but it was more about Amad and Mainoo today. It's more especially about Amad because of him not playing for most of the year, being on the bench, sitting through the Anthony or Garnacho, and him finally getting back-to-back starts, had a good performance against Arsenal, and of course today. But before we do all that, make sure you like, share, subscribe. You guys know the drill. I know I haven't been as consistent the past month. Been a little bit busy when it comes to doing off personal stuff, but obviously summer's coming up, but we'll get that when we wrap up the show. But let's get really into the game now. In terms of the starting 11, the first surprise was obviously Hoyland not starting. He's been pretty much our only striker for the whole year, and it was due to minute management, they called it. And Eric Ten Hag he's been playing a lot of minutes. We still have a game on Sunday, and then we have the FA Cup next weekend. So kind of give him a little bit of rest. So Bruno went to the false line. He's back from his 2 games missed, the rare missed games from Bruno. So we was happy to see him back. Garnacho on the left. It was good to see Ahmad get back-to-back starts. It was also good to stick with the same midfield. McTominay obviously started. Then you had the legs of Mainoo obviously maybe being a mainstay, and Amrabat getting his second consecutive start or third. I think he started against Crystal Palace too. So third consecutive start. Was a good performance from him as well. And the defense was pretty much the same. Pretty much the only 4 available defenders that we have that can play a full 90. So yeah, man, it was a good performance. Happy from the boys. But in terms of the game, I thought United played pretty well for the first half, in my opinion. I thought we kept the ball well. Our out of possession shape was a little bit meh. You can tell when teams press us that we still don't know how to handle the opposition press. We play much better against teams that kind of let us take the initiative to them, which is you could tell. And Newcastle kind of exploited a couple holes in the back. But yeah, we did a good job of kind of preventing most of them. A couple of nice blocks from the likes of Johnny Evans. Casemiro had the goal line clearance as well. You also had a non-penalty call that you could have argued was a pen. But yeah, big up Mason in the comments. Big up Michael. Ahmad and Mainoo fire. Well, heads of the franchise. But we'll have a whole soliloquy on that. And then I think we have anything else defensive. Amrabat had a couple gut blocks, especially in the second half. We'll get to that later as well. And yeah, the midfield I thought was tidy. I thought Amrabat did a good job of kind of keeping the ball, keep it ticking, not really force anything stupid. McTominay was just there to kind of win the second balls, kind of just occupying the space that Bruno left as a false 9. And the attack, I thought Ahmad for me was obviously the star of the attack. You could tell that this kid is a special talent. He could really play, and he's very different from what we have from our other wingers in terms of he's kind of similar to Anthony in terms of wanting to protect the ball and that kind of stuff, but Ahmad just oozes more quality, and he's more of a game changer than Anthony. Off the ball, Ahmad also worked his butt off. It was good to see that. A lot of people obviously question Ahmad and his work ethic. Would he be able to replicate it in the Prem? The brother handled the championship just fine. If you can handle the championship when it comes to physicality, you can easily handle the Premier League. This is not UFC, bro. It's not like people fight in that league, right? The physicality, I think, is a little bit overstated sometimes in terms of physicality and strength. Fitness-wise, running-wise, Ahmad can definitely has the running power to handle all that, and he tracked back like a monster today. So, yeah, man. And the goal was actually the goal. I'm not gonna lie, it wasn't like a wonder goal, but it was one of my favorite kind of team goals that United has scored this year. It all started from Ahmad driving at his fullback, causing the kind of mismatch, the chaos. Nice little pass into Bruno. Apparently, Bruno didn't get a flick on it. For me, I thought he did, so I'll give him the credit for the flick, but the stats keeper didn't say that he did, so fair enough. And then Kobe Mainoo with the calm finish. I think Dan Burn kept him on side. Nice little finish from Mainoo there. And yeah, man, it was just a nice little goal. It was nice to see Ahmad automatically contributing and just driving at the defense. That's what we've been asking for from the United wingers. Driving your defenders, and you can cause great things. When you drive your defenders and you cause unsettling within them, you will cause a nice little disruption. That's what Ahmad did, and Mainoo with the calm, nice little finish. I think that's his third Premier League goal this season. And Ahmad obviously with the assist. And yeah, and then obviously United went into halftime with the lead, and the first discussion was automatically right. What's it called? Would the halftime record stick? That's been the big debate. Would the halftime record stick with United? And right away in the second half, we conceded a goal. Anthony Gordon has scored. My screen kind of froze when the goal happened, but it looked like Casemiro, I think, held him onside. And we conceded. And once I'm going to take my jacket off. But yeah, it was just very weird goal to concede. And from there, you're like, uh-oh, here come United, man. Final game of the season at home. We've already had such a poor season. We've broken every single negative record that has to do with United this year. What's one more record to break, right? And probably our most prestigious record when it comes to on-field performance, the halftime record at Old Trafford. But that's when Sir Amad Diallo rised. And what a goal, man. What a hit. What a hit, man. If Anthony shot that, my boy Saeed in the stands, big up Saeed TV all the time. My boy Saeed wouldn't go to the games. Saeed would have had a new souvenir from that if Anthony shot that. It was a beautiful finish. And that's the game-changing ability that Ahmad has, man. It took Eric Ten Hag 8 months to start Amad Diallo, or 7 months, whatever it was. However long it took. As a coach, as a footballing man that has all his badges and has been within football for such a long time, how can you watch each of the two individuals play between Anthony and Ahmad and come to the conclusion that Anthony's a better player? I just don't understand. I thought my eyes were deceiving me. I'm like, the coach of the football club, the one that's meant to be the know-it-all, the master, the knowledge, thought that Anthony was a better player. But then I think about at Ajax, he thought Anthony was better than Kudus as a talent. So where does his judgment really to be based on? Seedorf in the comments, this match proves it's Ten Hag's suicidal formation that has been the root cause of our on-field problems this season. He plays the formation we played last season, and we look good. Yeah, I mean, obviously, this team was always crying for a 4-2-3-1. I don't understand why. This team was never good enough to be a 4-3-3. First of all, I don't think our wingers are good enough to play in a 4-3-3. To be able to, and then we don't have the midfield personnel to be in a 4-3-3. We don't have the 6 that's good enough. We have Casemiro, who needs kind of a partner next to him that can really run. You have Amrabat, who for me is a pivot 6. You have Kobe Mainoo, who for me also is better in a pivot. You just don't have the 4-3-3 yet. And that's what United and obviously proves it now with when you look at a Kobe and Amrabat pivot. That's a good pivot. Obviously, is Amrabat the most exciting profile next to Mainoo? Not really. I would kind of want someone a little bit more mobile. But in Amrabat, you have someone that's comfortable enough in the first phase that allows Mainoo to play a little bit higher up the pitch, not like in the 10 or something like that, but a little bit higher as an 8 and be in full control and kind of get his game off better. And we see that against Arsenal, even though we didn't really threaten that much, but we had a pretty much disciplined performance against Arsenal. I thought it was a decent performance at the end of the day, considering the level of opposition. And then against Newcastle today, we played a pretty good game. I thought on the ball we weren't that terrible. There were a couple moments where we really couldn't play out the press, but that's due to the level of technical ability or the lack of level in technical ability within the team. You have a couple of players that aren't really calm and patient enough and decisive enough to kind of just play the right pass. You have Bruno, who sometimes will launch it. You have Casemiro, whose first instinct when he gets the ball is to launch it. And Wan-Bissaka can't play out of a press. He really can't play 1-2s either. You have Dallo, who's comfortable, but that's fine. Johnny Evans is somewhat comfortable. So yeah, from that level, obviously we struggled a little bit. But on the ball, in terms of the final third, in terms of the attack, we had some good play. I mean, we could tell from the first goal, right, that I mentioned. And yeah, I thought for the most part, again, United were decent. It's just very sad and very frustrating to think about, kind of like how Seedorf mentioned, that it took us this long to play this kind of football that's a little bit more pragmatic, that's a little bit more patient, and it's not gung-ho. This should be the brand of football we've been playing all year. I would have been happy playing football like this most of the year. Yeah, it's a little bit frustrating. Obviously, defensively, you still a couple things to fix, but attacking-wise, in the final third, you looked a little bit more calm. You were dominating more of the ball. You were calming the play down. You weren't having your players go up and down on the pitch for 90 minutes. That's why, in my opinion, yeah. I think obviously United could have done a couple of things better in the final third. I think one instance of the game where I think United needs to be a little bit more direct is when our left winger, right, drives the ball down the left and he usually gets double teamed. There's always a center mid or kind of a midfielder that's trailing a little bit behind the winger that gets the ball on kind of like the left hand slot, right outside the box. There, because most of the time it's a right-footed center mid, I want the player to in-swing the cross from that side. Just cross it in, bro. And someone get their head on it. The United don't put the ball into the box enough. That's my issue. And I think United need to put the ball in the box. Like Kobe Mainoo received the ball a couple times from Garnacho. Kobe Mainoo, I trust you enough to put in a good cross. Obviously today you don't have the number 9. You have Bruno who's a false 9, so he really wasn't in the box. You have McTominay somewhat doing box crashing, but when Hoyland's playing, for example, put the ball into the box. Maybe good things can happen. I always say, bro, put the ball into the box and anything can happen. Sometimes they'll get blocked and the other team gets possession. Sometimes the team will misclear it and you get a free chance at goal. You never know what can happen, right? So from that perspective, I think United should have done a little bit better there. And yeah, I thought in terms of overall game, it really is just Ahmad FC, Mainoo FC, and United now kind of are end of the season. We're most likely going to finish 8th unless Newcastle really bottle it this weekend, and then we finish 7th. And then it's really about winning the FA Cup or we're stuck in Conference League. And I don't think any of us, the whole people in here, do not want to be in Conference League, right? So, yeah, man, it's up to United and what they do. Our players are far more capable than what they have been showing this season. Ten Hag has been setting them up to fail with that 3-6-0 abomination. I agree, man. I've always said this about this United team. Is this United team really the level that we aspire to be at? Absolutely not. We need a big clear out. We need a lot of new players in certain positions. But this team is not 7th place or 8th place quality. This team should be finishing top 6. I'm not gonna lie, in my opinion. But that's due to the level of coaching. That's what it is for me. Because the last couple of games, United have shown you that they can be good. Especially even when you look at the Arsenal performance, I think that's a good performance to look at. Because United didn't have their best two players in Marcus Rashford and Bruno Fernandes, right, in terms of being the direct threat. And it kind of caused me a little bit of extra chaos like United needed in that game because we just didn't have the attacking threat. You look how good they performed in that game. And you're like, if you play like this all year, and then you add in not even Bruno and Rashford, even just one of the two, right? Well, probably more Bruno. I think Bruno has kind of reached that level where I think Bruno has been more important than Rashford this year. And today you saw it. How good? Maybe we could have been a lot better. But instead, this guy wanted to do the very transitional, heavy approach, and it didn't work. We're better than Aston Villa. I have no doubt about it. I mean, we did beat Aston Villa twice, to be fair. The second time they outplayed us by a good level. But I don't know if United were top 4 good, but I look at Spurs. Spurs have not been good for most of the year. When you look at it, right, they're still riding their point in terms of point tally. They're really riding a high off those first 10 games where they didn't lose. Aston Villa, for me, for the most part of 2024, have also not been that good. And then you look at in Conference League what Olympiacos did to them, right? I've always said the Premier League this year is one of the worst Premier Leagues in terms of quality, especially at the top level, because I only think the only 2 teams are good, right? You have City and Arsenal, and even Manchester City. I said that this Manchester City team is the worst Manchester City team since past first year. I don't think the level of quality in this City team is as good. I don't think the playing style is as good. And I think a lot of the key players have not been performing to the level that is required. I don't think KDB's been on it. I think Haaland has somewhat regressed from last year. Phil Foden has taken the ascension. No Ilkay Gundogan there. So you have that. Arsenal, for me, have been performance-wise the best team in the league this year, but they're most likely not going to win the league, and they got to hold that at the end of the day. But, yeah, man, it's just they haven't been that good. And then you look at the third place team, Liverpool. Liverpool crashed starting March. They gave out. I don't think the squad is that good. 4th, Aston Villa have not been that good. Spurs have not been that good. Chelsea are finishing 6th after being in the bottom half for most of the year. That's what I'm saying. The level of the Premier League this year has not been good, and that reflected in Europe. United and Newcastle didn't finish top 3 in their groups. Liverpool got bounced out by Atalanta, who are I think 5th in Serie A. West Ham got bounced out by Leverkusen. They have an excuse. Brighton got trounced by Roma. Villa lost to Olympiacos. You see what I'm trying to say, man? Mainoo stocks paid up. Bro, day one, man. Day one. I was here 2 years ago with Cody Mainoo, man. These people joining me now. Jake W said Ahmad and Mainoo under the Zerbi. I think when I look at Ahmad under the Zerbi, I look like a Solly March. I could kind of see it. And I just question Ten Hag how it takes you this long to play Ahmad, man. Because I know Ten Hag knows that Ahmad's a good player. I think he was just that persistent to stick with Anthony and hope that he can do something and just didn't pay out. My fear is Ten Hag will be given another season. He needs to be set packing back to Han. Obviously, that's the fear that everyone's feeling. We talked about it on Saeed yesterday on Late Night Vibes. United need to like kind of announce what's going to happen. I know that they have the FA Cup to worry about, all that kind of stuff, but is announcing that Ten Hag is staying or leaving really going to cause that much difference in the locker room? Is it really going to cause that much disruption? Like, is it really, man? I'm trying to think about it. Like, I look at Bayern what they did with Tuchel, and you could tell that maybe that kind of motivated them in Champions League. I just don't think that saying that Ten Hag is going to leave at the end of the season is going to cause that much of a disruption within the locker room and in terms of how we approach the FA Cup final. It's a final at the end of the day. You leave what's going on off the pitch. You leave that off the pitch. On the pitch, you have one job, man. Just win the cup final. So that's where it is. I just want United to know. If he's staying, bro, he's staying. It is what it is at the end of the day. Will we agree with it? Absolutely not. But you go on with the decision. We stop talking about all these hypotheticals with managers, De Zerbi, Kieran McKenna, Thomas Tuchel, Thomas Frank, Gareth Southgate, whoever it is. Because as more and more days pass, you're like, who's going to be our next manager? Is there really a truth to Gareth Southgate? What's going to happen with Thomas Tuchel? Should we believe these Kieran McKenna rumors? It's that kind of stuff. United needs to get on top of it. That's why I'm looking at last couple of weeks. I'm looking at Ineos a little bit sideways. I'm not gonna lie. First, you had the women's team incident with the FA Cup final. Like, they didn't go to the women's FA Cup final when they should have absolutely went to the women's FA Cup final. That game was much more important than United versus Arsenal, where United had nothing to fight for. The canceling the award show where they didn't tell the women's team. Bro, you gotta know, man. Ineos have been dithering. You don't need a director of football to figure out Ten Hag. Bro, the technical director is actually more a task when it comes to the managing. That DOF is more about the transfer targets and stuff like that. The technical director is the one that's more involved with the coaching. He kind of determines the style of play, that kind of stuff. Bro. Jake W said, Ahmad and Elise on the right wing, side with Ahmad playing in the 10-2. Obviously, CK talked about that too. The kind of rotation. I fuck with it, man. I generally do. I think when I look at Ahmad, Elise, I think they're kind of similar players. I think they both can dress centrally a little bit. And the interchanges will be nice. You could also say, do we need Elisa with Ahmad and maybe kind of prioritize a different position? I kind of hear that too. But Elise is really quality. You're seeing what he looks like. What's it called? With under a good coaching setup with Glasner at Crystal Palace. So yeah, man. Get Freeman for head of recruitment. I wish, but apparently he's linked with the Newcastle director of football job. I really wish we could get him. That guy knows all about talent. Championship, he's kind of pinpointed the championship market perfectly. He knows who the top talents are in the championship. I wish we had that, because United, I think, could really use the championship as a step, as a tool to kind of rebuild the squad instead of going abroad and paying extra pricing. I look at Adam Morton. Put Adam Morton there instead of Amrabat today. How much better would we look, bro? Stupid good, man. Eze instead of Garnacho. Like that kind of idea, right? Alicia's injury record worries me. Obviously he's had a couple hamstring injuries this year, but I think that's more due to the fact that he's been overplayed. So we'll see, man. We'll see. But I think Alicia will be a good player for United, and the price isn't that crazy. I think it's about 50 mil, 60 mil release clause. The bigger question is, will Alicia accept us? That's the real question. United will not be in Europe next year, more than likely, unless we win that FA Cup final. It's going to be a tricky one, man. It's going to be a tricky one. But yeah, otherwise, I'm trying to think of player performances. Onana was decent. Had a couple good saves. Had a couple good passes as well. A couple bad passes, to be fair. Wan-Bissaka. See this watch, bro. Tick-tock. It's time for him to go, man. It's time for Aaron Wan-Bissaka to go. I don't know how he still United. Center back pairing Casemiro was Casemiro. Just all over the place. Johnny Evans had a good game. Leach is back, which is good news. I think that's good news. I think Leach being back, they're probably gonna have a Leach, Johnny Evans center back pairing against Manchester City. It's gonna be an interesting one, personally. Mayo, the boy, Zav McLean. We paying 50 mil for our right wing, and we ain't got no center backs next season. Obviously, I mean, we're gonna have to address both sides. In terms of center back, I hope the Tosin links continue to get stronger and stronger on the free. That solves one issue, and then the other center back is we'll see who we get. Varane leaving means that we must get a right center back this year. This summer, Obviously, you have the likes of Todibo. You have Lenny Yoro, who's available, right? Um, who else in the right center back? Todibo, Lenny Yoro, Antonio Silva's always like kind of a common name. I don't want him though. You have Tosin. Trying to think. Ignacio, not really. Diomande, maybe. It's a couple names, man. They got the boy Staffy TV, like the video peeps. At least too similar to Ahmad. Nico Williams, a better option with his rapid pace. I mean, I've always wanted Nico Williams more than Elise, but first of all, the wages are way too high for Nico Williams. And second of all, I think United Scouts just prefer. No, yeah, I've heard United Scouts actually prefer Nico Williams, but the club want Michael Elise, proven all that kind of stuff. And sometimes, I mean, I know he's a little bit similar to Ahmad, but the good thing is that they could both play together. And that's just quality, bro. Football is a simple game. Just play your best players. And those two linking up together, man, it'll be a good relationship. Heard Madrid is pulling out of Lenny Yoro, dude. Yeah, apparently they're not gonna go in for him. We should be able to. We should capitalize on that, in my opinion. We should capitalize on that, man. We were able to do that with Camavinga because he always wanted the Madrid move. Let's do that with Lenny Yoro, man. We have a good opportunity here. You can never go wrong with techie players. Olise and Ahmad are both. Yeah, man. I think both fit each other well. I think Olise is proven and he looks really good. And yeah, man, I think he's gonna be a great player for United. United bought Ahmad when he tore the City Academy to shreds back in 1920. Yeah, I remember. I think with the way UEFA Youth League, because I think Atalanta and City were in the same group, right? Yeah, man, yo. Another thing, bro. United Scouts. People always talk about United Scouts, right? What do they do? What is their job? What are they just like picking like their nose or something, right? Why are they not doing any work? I promise you, if you go look at the news and you go look at the rumors of who United Scouts have picked out and how many players the club has said no to, it's absolutely ridiculous. Because when I talk about Ahmad and Anthony, you look at one player that was pinpointed by the United Scouts and Amad Diallo, like Jake mentioned, from the Atalanta Youth League game against Manchester City, and the scouts were impressed. And Ahmad was wanted by all of Italy. Juventus wanted to poach him from Atalanta. Milan wanted to poach him. United paid up the price and they got him. They made an offer that Atalanta could not refuse. On the other hand, you have Anthony, who the United Scouts valued at 25 million, which is not far off what we paid for Ahmad, right? I think we paid more for Ahmad than the initial Anthony valuation from the scouts. So the scouts already valued Ahmad at a higher price than Anthony, and that's before Ahmad even played senior minutes for Atalanta. Think about that. United paid 80 mil. Why? Because Eric Ten Hag chose him. So that's the difference. United need to let their scouts do the talking for them. Just listen to what they have to say. The guy on Villa, right? Duran, who scored Monday in the brace. United knew about him from Chicago Fire days. They said 10 mil, we can get this guy. He could be a good player. See what I'm trying to say? I'm not saying Duran would have been like the perfect signing, but these guys are on top. Well, we have one of the biggest scouting networks in the world. We're one of the biggest clubs in the world. We pay so many people. You think these guys are just picking their nose at football games? Well, they travel all over the world. We have scouts all over the world, and they play and they see the scouts and they pick the players. Our scouts determined Erling Haaland a while ago. What do we do, man? United got scouts. It always takes 2 years for them to hit, and we end up going back to Europe. Yeah, bro, we know what the scouts are looking like, man. For all the Bruno non-appreciators, the scouts didn't want Bruno. They didn't like his passing accuracy. What do people have a lot of big gripe with Bruno about? His passing accuracy. So that's what I'm trying to say, man. Moises Caicedo, we was ready to. United Scouts said pay up 5 mil for him, and you're gonna have a great player. Caicedo ended up going for 120 mil 3 years later. You see what I'm trying to say, man? It's like stuff like that. These scouts know what they're doing, man, and United need to start listening to them. And under Ineos, I expect them to listen to better. The scouts are gonna be working with footballing men, whether it be Wilcox, who also has his own kind of scouting experience, whether it's a Dan Ashworth, who also has his scouting experience. I expect a lot of improvement from that side. How long left on Bruno's contract? I think he has 2 years left. United got scouts. Oh no, so Jake said Muppeteer said that Joe Glazer effectively has a final say on every signing. So he's been saying no to. Yeah, bro, Joe. You think Joe Glazer knows what Moises Caicedo is? No. Same like, who's this guy? Does he sell me jerseys? No. Okay. Amad Diallo just got signed because United were panicking. It was the final day of the transfer deadline. This guy probably just signed off. He's like thinking it was Sancho. No, man, it's crazy. It's just such a terrible job. United to do a better job listening to these guys, man. You can tell from the way Amad performs. Plus in the scouting department, I'm sure Diogo Dallo was probably appreciated by the scouts. Not too sure though. That might have just been a purely just Jose signing. Hoyland was a scout's pick, to be fair. So we'll see how they turn out with that. But speaking of Hoyland, by the way, he scored a goal, the third goal of the game. I gotta remember this is a match reaction at the end of the day. Hoyland scored the third goal. Nice right-footed finish. It was a great goal. Good to see him create the separation in the shot. Been asking for him to do more of that. And it's funny because earlier in the game I tweeted, it looks like, for me, I think United are never going to be a team that require a Hoyland profile striker. It's always, I feel like we just thrive off the false nines. I feel like that's how it is, man. We haven't had the poacher kind of all around. We haven't had the poacher service reliant only type of striker in a very, very long time. You could probably say since Rude, because Van Persie was the complete striker. Zlatan was kind of the facilitator. Lukaku maybe a little bit, but even Lukaku for me was a little bit better in link play than a Hoyland. He needs to shoot more, man, and he needs to do more of what he did today. That was great, creating separation, good finish on the weak foot, bro. You have a weak foot, use it, man. You're a striker. I expect you to be able to shoot with both feet. I'm not saying you have to be the best. You have to be the best with your right foot, but shoot better, man. Hoyland 17 GA, motherfuckers talking about he needs to improve. I mean, he does need to improve. Let's not get it twisted. He does need to improve. I think his link play can improve, absolutely. When you look at him, he needs to get involved in the game more. Because you looked at today, Bruno false nine, how much better we looked attacking-wise, the numbers that we had, the nice little 1-2s, the combinations, the opportunities we were creating with the shots. Yeah, sure, a few of them were outside the box, but they were clean looks. So he does need to improve a little bit. Yeah, I mean, he's still young. We don't know what the finished article with Hoyland is going to be. I've always said there's 3 positions in football that require the most development: goalkeeper, center back, striker. Those are the positions where if you buy young, you must be patient. It is very rare that you get a prodigy in those positions. And if you look at United's history, when have they ever really signed a young striker? When have they ever really signed a young center back? It's always been center backs that are kind of not like either like ready to hit their prime and stuff like that. Striker, we signed one young striker I remember before, like on the market for like a price before Hoyland was Anthony Martial. And Anthony Martial was one of the best prospects in football. There's a reason why he had a Ballon d'Or clause. That was kind of a can't miss. Hoyland is not on that level. So you have that. Other than that, which young striker have United signed? When young center back have they signed? Look at their center backs. We signed the best. Daley Blind was older. Marcos Rojo, Eric Bailly, Lindelof, Varane, Licha, Maguire. These are all on the older side, right? Goalkeeper, you had De Gea, who's a prodigy. United signed De Gea young because Fergie was moved. So from that perspective, I get that. Otherwise, the goalkeeper before De Gea, Van der Sar. Before that, we tried the prodigy route with Tim Howard. It didn't work. So yeah, man, I think United. There's certain positions where I think you need to buy a little bit older, and I think Striker is one of them. And that's why United needed to get Hoyland. If you're gonna sign Hoyland, you go get him his veteran striker that he can learn off of. His veteran striker this year was Anthony Martial, who's been on gardening leave for the whole year. We haven't seen him. United needs to do better, in my opinion. In terms of that, we need to get a veteran striker this year, and I don't care whether it's to go buy big with a Dom Solanke or whether it's to go get a freaking Eric Choupo-Moting or something like that. I don't care what it is, man. United needs to do better there, in my opinion. My bad. So yeah. Anything else in the game? Rashford obviously came on. Obviously, I'm not gonna talk about the thing that happened before the game. I don't really want to get into that. But yeah, man, it's just a good game. Good end to the season at Old Trafford. Obviously, one final game against Brighton this Sunday. Somewhat of a standing implication. We'll see what happens. I just hope we don't finish 7th, because then that really puts a lot more extra pressure on the FA Cup final when it already has pressure, because we have to stop City from doing the double again. So we'll see what happens. But I'm very happy with the performance. If we do replicate it today, I think we should be able to do good against Brighton. And in a way, Sunday might be a De Zerbi audition. Not for us, but Ineos will be there. I'm sure one of Brailsford Wilcox will be at the game, and I think they're going to see what happens with De Zerbi in that game, how he coaches. And let's see the post match talk today at Eric Ten Hag's general vibe felt like someone who's just been ensured that job. Who knows, man? We'll see after the final, man. If he stays, I'm gonna be looking at Ineos, be like, you better be right about this, because I'm telling you right now, you can get the next manager wrong in terms of who you pick, but you cannot get keeping Eric Ten Hag wrong. It will be very, very tricky. And it could go really, really bad. Because if it comes to the point where you have to sack Ten Hag midway through the year, you just wasted a whole summer of not getting a new coach. And the guy that you wanted might not be available come that time. So it's very, very tricky. And it's minuscule decisions like that can ruin a rebuild project. So that's just my thoughts on it. But we'll see what happens, man. I appreciate the 15 of you that's pretty much locked in here. Obviously, we haven't been streaming as much, but trying to keep it a little bit more consistent now. And yeah, we'll see. Obviously, probably maybe do a video tomorrow. Think about the topic and stuff like that. Obviously, NBA playoffs. I think start doing more content on that. One more win, baby. One more win, and then New York Knicks are in the Eastern Conference Finals. But we'll get to that later. Otherwise, appreciate all you that locked in. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. I think we're almost close to 600. And yeah, man, it's gonna be a bit summer. I promise I will be here. Euros are gonna be locked in. We have a big tournament to look at. Yeah, Jacob, bro, you're my brother, bro. Chill out, man. Chill out. Euros are gonna be a packed summer, man. Transfer window, all that kind of stuff. It's gonna be a busy one, but it's kind of just. I've been in Cancun when it comes to United, man. There really hasn't been any point of watching the games in terms of takeaways and stuff like that. You just kind of want to see who you really want to stay here next year, and you look at Kobe, you look at Ahmad. I got a Hoyland, a Garnacho, Bruno. You kind of get a good grasp of it. Casemiro, adios, like that kind of stuff. But yeah, I appreciate y'all. You'll catch me on Snapchat in about half hour. I'm gonna go get some food in. Going to go get some food in right now. Finals win. Yeah, we'll do a whole NBA kind of like chill and talk. I think I did that a couple weeks ago. I might do that tomorrow, right? Just chill and vibe, that kind of stuff. So yeah, I'll catch y'all later. Catch y'all on the flip side. Appreciate all y'all. Peace.